Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Surprise Jab Podcast. I'm your host, Zach Ruger, surprising you with new topics every single week and jabbing you with your daily dose of UFC. And we are fresh off of another weekend filled with UFC. It was an amazing time. We had UFC Vegas 99, which we will be discussing on today's episode as the main dish, the main course of today's episode. And I'll be saving my thoughts on that. We'll wait until the end. I'm not going to give anything away in regards to my thoughts on UFC Vegas 99. But I was able to catch the PFL. PFL put on an interesting event. I'll give a couple thoughts on that. Nothing too in depth, but some interesting stuff going on there. Also on today's episode, we'll be recapping all the action from Week 7 of the NFL season. Now, I will let everyone know I am recording this on Monday, so the Buccaneers-Ravens game and the Cardinals-Chargers game are currently taking place. So I have not seen those, but all I'm going to say is go Buccaneers and go Chargers. That's how I'm going to be viewing that. Also going to be looking at the AP College Football updated thing. I wrote down AP College Football. It's just the new college football rankings. I figured I'd get back into that. I did that a lot last year, and I just haven't really been thinking about doing that. So I'm going to get back into doing that as well. And top 10 new things in pop culture. Every single episode, we're looking at the top 10 new things in pop culture. Lots of fun things. We're fresh off of a red-hot weekend in the life of Zachary Ruger. It was a good time. Honestly, had a really good weekend. Ready to get back into things during the week. Actually, and I honestly, Monday, currently as I'm recording this, October 21st, 2024, I did all my schoolwork for the week today, except for one paper, I believe. Other than that, I grind out all my work so that I have the full week to just focus on other things, because I'm busy, I got club, I'm reaching out to people from the UFC, I'm trying to get an internship or a job with the UFC. That's what I'm about. But speaking of the UFC, new UFC news, guys, I hate to say it, no new fight announcements really, and even the rumor mill is a bit low. It's very odd. The only official fight announcement that we've had since we last spoke, this one's on short notice. Renat Fakhretdinov was originally supposed to take on Nursultan Ruziboyev at UFC 308. Instead, taking his place will be Carlos Zeal. Carlos Zeal actually fought in, the PFL. The PFL, he's also fought in the LFA, Samurai FC League. He's had won titles on all those. He holds wins over Ray Cooper III, David Zawamba, Marcio Breno. 21-5, he'll be making his UFC debut at 30 years old. His opponent, Renat Fakhretdinov, 22-1, undefeated in the UFC, 4-0 with one draw, and I believe he's on a 19-fight unbeaten streak. Something ridiculous. He's beaten Brian Battle, Nicholas Dalby, Kevin Lee. Renat Fakhretdinov is a scary individual looking to get into the UFC ranking, so I am excited to see what happens with that. He does need a big win, finally, and, Carlos Zeal won't really get you there, but when you go 5-0 with one draw to start out your UFC career, then you'll start getting ranked opponents. But yeah, other than that, nothing too much. There's not even many rumors, if you will. I think the big thing this past weekend was the PFL. So maybe not new UFC news related, but the PFL put on a massive event where Francis Ngannou returned. And Francis came back after, I believe he had fought earlier this year. It had been a long time. And he returned, he got a round 1 TKO knockout of the current PFL heavyweight champion, Renan Ferreira. It was such a feel-good win. Such a feel-good win for Francis Ngannou. The death of his son, getting knocked out in his last matchup. Things were looking bleak, but this is just such great news for him. And as he approaches 40 sooner rather than later, he's looking to continue this MMA run, take on newcomers. Francis Ngannou is at a level where he doesn't just fight anybody. He has to fight the baddest of the baddest. And it was just really great to see that. Such a feel-good moment. And I honestly didn't think he'd be able to do it. After getting knocked out, after seeing how dominant Renan Ferreira had been in his run to win the PFL World Heavyweight Championship, it was really great to see this. So congratulations to Francis Ngannou. Nothing but respect for that man. And he is just a walking embodiment of the human spirit. Just pushing on, continuing on. It's amazing work. Also on there, you had Cris Cyborg becoming a Grand Slam champion. She has now won belts in Strikeforce, Invicta, UFC, Bellator, and PFL. She might be, Amanda Nunes did knock her out. I will give her out. Amanda Nunes knocked her out in round 1, but Cris Cyborg is up there for one of the greatest women athletes of all time in the MMA sphere. It is just impeccable what she's done. Now, she did go the distance against Larissa Pacheco. Nothing too interesting there, but did enough, got it done. Congratulations. Also on there, you had Johnny Eblin, who is the current middleweight champion. He won a 5-round decision over Fabian Edwards to move to 16-0. Very impressive that Bellator / PFL, whatever you want to call their merger, is dude 60-0. We'll give that to him. Now, he's a grappler, and Conor McGregor was actually tweeting about how boring that was, so I will give them that. Conor McGregor was kind of pointing out that is not interesting when dudes grapple the entire freaking fight. And he's not wrong. Look at Merab, look at Valentina Shevchenko. That's not exciting. No one's talking about those fights. They're talking about the Alex Pereiras, the Ito Puros, the Max Holloway's, the Justin Gaethjes. That's who gets talked about. So at the end of the day, you kind of have to weigh what's better, getting the win or earning some fans. And the final one, we just want to mention this real quick, is Paul Hughes defeated AJ McKee in a big cross business battle. AJ McKee, the top guy in Bellator at lightweight. Paul Hughes coming over from actually the Cage Warriors side of things. And Paul Hughes, huge upset, beating AJ McKee, who was a former champion. Paul Hughes is one of the next big up-and-comers in the MMA sphere. I'll be excited to see what he does with his win here, whatever you want to call it. Good stuff from Paul Hughes. Also, what went on this past weekend, which actually goes on every single weekend, is college football. And I don't watch a ton of college football, but I always do enjoy seeing the rankings being updated. And when I do catch a game, it's usually good. College football is way better than the NFL. I think that is a synonymous consensus with everyone, that college football, they just produce better games. These kids, they're playing to make it to the league. It's certainly different when you've made it to the league. Now, you maybe see some more action at times in the NFL, but the high scoring, the dramatic finishes, they always seem to happen more so in college football. And we had a lot of shakeups in the rankings, so we're going to take a quick look at the new top 25 for college football. Starting off at number 25, Vanderbilt. The Vanderbilt Commodores defeated Ball State 24-14 this past weekend in week 8 of college football season. They were not ranked last weekend, and Diego Pavia was responsible for at least 290 yards of total offense for the 4th game this season. Good job from Vanderbilt. You do have to take on Texas next week, which is not too pretty. After that, number 24, Navy. That's right, the midshipmen Navy, one of our branches of the military. They were ranked 25 last week, and after beating Charlotte 51-17, they now moved to 24th, and they are 6-0, undefeated. Navy scored at least 30 points for the 6th straight game to start their season, tying the longest single-season streak in program history. The midshipmen also had 6-game streaks in 2007 and 2010. They'll play Notre Dame next Saturday, which is the 26th, I believe. Good stuff, Navy. Honestly, I love seeing undefeated teams, and you're 8 weeks in, you're 6-0. Impressive stuff from Navy. And number 23, how about Army? 7-0 themselves. Number 23, same as last week, they defeated East Carolina 45-28 this past weekend. Stat to know, in the game, QB Bryson Daly became the first player in Army history with 1 passing touchdown and 5 rushing touchdowns. How about that? They'll take on Air Force next weekend at noon. Actually, in 2 weeks, they have a bye week coming up. Army and the Navy, both undefeated. Don't get much better than that. At number 22, you got SMU, the Mustangs. They were ranked 21st last week, so they are taking a dip. They were defeated by Stanford 40-10. Yikes. Ooh, and not too good. They play Duke next weekend. SMU, I always see them in the mix. Missouri Tigers losing to Auburn. They dropped 2 spots from 19-21. They play Bama next weekend. Oops, that's rough. All right, sucks to play Alabama. At number 20, the Fighting Illini of Illinois. They jumped 2 spots after defeating Michigan 21-7. Ooh, this was Illinois' first win in an AP-ranked matchup with Michigan since 1983. Illinois is 6-1. Not too shabby, Illinois. All my family, they're from Illinois, so I always do kind of like to root for Illinois whenever I see them doing stuff. At number 19, Pittsburgh. They had a bye week in week 8, and they were undefeated 6-0 heading into that week. They'll be entering week 9 undefeated. They were 20th last week. They get a bump up to 19. Got a matchup with Syracuse Thursday. So we'll see how Pitt does. My buddy Seth always loves to root for teams from Pittsburgh. Usually I think it's just Pitt and the Steelers because he's a big Steelers fan. At number 18, Ole Miss. They were 18th last week. They had a bye week. They're 5-2 on the year. I know a lot was expected of this team with Jackson Dart But, Ole Miss, SEC, it's a tough division. 5-2, not too bad. At number 17, the Boise State Broncos. They had a bye week, the 5-1 team, which is led by their star running back. I can't remember. Is it Jontry? Is it Jayshon Jontry? It's something. This dude is setting so many records for running backs. He might win the Heisman. He's insane. Boise State in their colorful field at 17. At number 16, the Kansas State Wildcats, which actually jumped a spot from last week after defeating West Virginia 45-18. This was Kansas State's 9th game with 40-plus points since the start of last season. Their 3rd of this year, the most among the Big 12 teams during that span. They take on fellow Big Ten team Kansas next week. Ooh, exciting stuff. Actually, is Kansas from the Big Ten? I don't think so. Kansas State, good stuff. I always like watching them in basketball. And here's the biggest drop-off of pretty much you're ever going to see. Alabama, who lost to Tennessee 24-17, go from 7 to 15. They're now 5-2 on the year. Alabama has lost multiple games before November for the first time since 2007, which was Nick Saban's first season. The 16-season streak was the longest streak in SEC history, as tied with Nebraska for the longest in college football history. Wow. They'll play Missouri next week. Crimson Tide, tough losses so far of the year. 5-2 isn't even a bad record. They're trying to still sneak into that final 12 teams come January. At number 14, the Texas Aggies. They defeated Mississippi State 34-28. They were 14 last week, 6-1. Mike Elko is now the first coach to start 6-1 in his first season with the Aggies since the coach Tubby Graves did in 1918. Wow, they play LSU next week. Indiana Hoosiers at 7-0 are now ranked number 13th. They were 16th last week. They blew out Nebraska 56-7. The 56 points is the most Indiana has ever scored against Nebraska. The previous high was 54, scored in 3 straight games from 1943 to 1945. Next week they play Washington. Good stuff, Indiana. Honestly, been to Indiana once. I bought fireworks there with my cousin, my uncle, and my uncle's friend, I believe it was. What a random trip that was. That's my only impression of Indiana. At number 12, they were here last week. The Notre Dame Fighting Irish, Shane Gillis's favorite team. 6-1 record on the year. They defeated Georgia Tech 31-13 last week. Good stuff. They play Navy next weekend. I'm excited for that. Notre Dame, good team. At number 11, BYU, the Cougars. They were ranked 13th last week. Birmingham Young is now at 11. 7-0 on the year. They defeated Oklahoma State by 3 points. This is only the 5th time in their program's history that they've started 7-0. Good stuff, BYU. And now we get into the top 10 college football teams currently as of week 8. Iowa State at a perfect 7-0 is your number 10 team. They did drop a spot from 9 for some reason. They defeated UCF by 3 points this past weekend. This is the first time they've ever started 7-0 since 1938, so not the first time ever. They'll play Texas Tech in 2 weeks. At number 9, they actually passed Iowa State Clemson with a 48-31 blowout of Virginia. They jumped from 9-10 with a 6-1 record. They jumped from 10-9, I should better say. Clemson has scored 40 or more points in each of its past 4 games against Virginia, the longest streak by either school in series history. They have a bye week next week, then play Louisville. Clemson, my only impression of you is that you blow all my brackets in March Madness. That's my only impression. You had that one good white boy. I can't remember his name. Something, I have no idea. At number 8, the LSU Tigers. They were 8 last week. They defeated Arkansas 34-10. 6-1 record on the year. They forced 3 turnovers against the Razorbacks last week. It was LSU's college football leading 4th game. I have no idea what the hell that says. But they play Texas A&M next week. LSU, I always loved watching it with Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson. Gosh, that team was nasty. Even Larry Fournette when he was on the team. LSU. Fun team. At number 7, the Volunteers, who after their upset of Alabama jumped from 11-7. Tennessee did not score in the first half for the 2nd straight week, but they won both games to become the first SEC team to win consecutive games despite being held scoreless in the first half since Georgia did in 2006. Yeah, huge upset by Tennessee over Alabama. It's safe to say not a lot of people saw that coming. I love it, man. Tennessee, they're good at a lot of sports. I know they're good at baseball. I know they're good at football, at basketball. Someone needs to nerf them. At number 6, the Miami Hurricanes. They were 6 last week and with a 7-0 record and scoring 52 points against Louisville. Yeah, that'll do it. And by the way, out of their 7 wins so far this season, they've scored 50 in 4 of them. That's insane. They play rival Florida State next weekend. I always love the turnover chain that Miami brings out. Now we're into the top 5, 8 weeks into college football. They were number 1 last week. They were number 1 for a while, but the Texas Longhorns got upset by Georgia 30-15, and they're now ranked number 5. The 15-point loss to Georgia was the 3rd largest by an AP number 1 team at home. Since 1982, they get a pick-me-up game versus Vanderbilt. But yeah, Georgia came to play, and Ewers wasn't ready. Freaking Arch Manning wasn't ready. This entire Texas team was not ready. Got to lock in. At number 4, they were 4 last week. Ohio State, they had a bye last week. They were ranked 4th the week before. They played Nebraska, 5-1 record. Good for the Buckeyes. At number 3, they were 3 last week. The Penn State and the Nittany Lions, they had a bye week. 6-0, ranked number 3. They play Wisconsin Saturday night on NBC. Sign me up. Love that, Penn State. At number 2, the Georgia Bulldogs, ranked number 5 last week. They jumped to number 2 with their win over Texas. 6-1 record. Georgia joined South Carolina in 2010, which defeated number 1 Alabama as the only teams in the past 20 years with 7 sacks versus the AP number 1 team. Wow, they play Florida next week. Georgia, good stuff. Good stuff from Georgia. They're fun. They're a fun team. I love watching the Bulldogs. I just saw a highlight on TikTok. It was like a hype video of their pregame speech, and then they went out and they destroyed Texas. Good work. And your number 1 team in all of college football. They were 2 last week, and they're number 1 this week. Thanks to an 80% completion percentage from QB Dylan Gabriel, the Oregon Ducks, with a perfect 7-0 record, moved to number 1 spot. They defeated Purdue 35-0 last week. Impressive stuff. They'll play Illinois. The Oregon Ducks running through college football. Always love to see it. They're also good at basketball. That's primarily what I know. A lot of fun stuff going on in the college football spectrum. Maybe we'll keep up with this. Maybe we won't. I always think it's fun looking at rankings because I love rankings. I love the UFC rankings. I love ranking things. That's what we do. Tell you what else I love, and that is looking at the top 10 new things in pop culture. We do it every episode now. It's always fun, courtesy of Discussing Film. So number 1, the Penguin has made TikTok canon to the Batman universe. How about that? In the Penguin show, they mentioned TikTok. So now whenever you watch the Batman movie with Robert Pattinson, you can know TikTok exists in Gotham. That's right. Everyone's walking around on TikTok. Ridiculous. Number 2, Christopher Nolan's next movie is rumored to be a period horror about vampires in the 1920s, currently starring Tom Holland and Matt Damon, who have been cast. Wow. Christopher Nolan, vampires, the 1920s, Tom Holland. I'm in. Oh my goodness, that sounds delicious. Good viewing appetite. Number 3, The Batman 2 starts filming in 2025, and Dune 3 starts filming in 2026, meaning Greg Fraser will now likely be available to do cinematography for both films. Oh, he's same guy did cinematography for both of those. The Batman 2, Dune 3, I mean, they are following up some pretty banger movies. The Batman, my buddy Ryan, who we've had on, he was just watching that, and Dune 2. One of the best movies I've ever seen. Like, that theater experience was crazy. I'm yet to watch it since, but Dune 3 is a lot of hype to live up to. That's right, they'll begin filming in early 2026 instead of 2025, which actually is kind of unfortunate. Number four, Sony asked Netflix if they want to buy Harold and the Purple Crayon from them, but Netflix didn't want to. It is one of the biggest box office fails. It's one of the worst movies I've heard, too. Harold and the Purple Crayon. I remember that book or that story from when I was younger, but sadly, Zachary Gordon, whoever the actor's name is, he just couldn't do it. He couldn't do it, letting us Zachs down. The film just had terrible CGI, terrible plot, and was just awful. And when Netflix is not buying your film, then you know it really, really sucks. At number 5, the Chick-fil-A streaming service has been named Chick-fil-A Play and will launch on November 18th. The service will launch with a collection of original animated shows, scripted podcasts, cooking shows, and interactive stories. You gotta be kidding me. If you are paying for Chick-fil-A Play, I have just lost a lot of respect for you. That is the dumbest sounding streaming service I've ever heard of. Ridiculous. Just ridiculous. At number 6, Avengers Doomsday will officially begin filming in spring. The film hits theaters on May 2026. That is right. It is under 2 years away. Under 2 years away. We're getting Avengers Doomsday. I'm pumped for it. I'm excited for it. And it's good to hear that they're already filming it next year. Better late than never, I would say. It should be an absolutely amazing film. Checking in at number 7, Transformers 1 releases on digital tomorrow, 1 month after the film's theatrical release. Yeah, these films come right to DVD. They're trying to get as much money as they can, as soon as they can, by just sending things to DVD right after they've had their theatrical run, which, I mean, I'm not too mad about, but I'm not buying DVDs anymore. Literally, I don't buy DVDs anymore. I don't know who does. Someone let me know if they're actually buying DVDs, because I don't think that's a thing anymore. Number 8. Jason Blum says they're now working on the script for the live-action Dead by Daylight movie. It could be 5 years, it could be 12 months. You just don't know. You can't make the movie until the script is right. That's a game, is a video game where essentially there's a killer and you're playing with all your friends, and the killer, who's another one of your friends, he runs around and he tries to get you and he has to like hook you or something, and your friends have to try and save you. Super weird premise. Sounds like a Netflix movie, which actually might have some prowess. I don't really know, but yeah. Smile 2 at number 9 opens with 46 million worldwide, higher than the first film's opening. Smile, weird premise, kind of scares me. It has to do with demons and stuff, and like everyone's smiling, but they're evil. I don't like that. And your final good news for you. Fallout Season 2 will begin filming in November. That is some wonderful news. I love the first season of Fallout. Games take a long time, so I haven't really dabbled in them, but the first season of Fallout left with a huge cliffhanger. There's lots of stuff to be answered. I'm excited to see what transpires. So yes, that's all your new stuff in pop culture, in the pop culture spectrum. I hope you learned something new. But yeah, not the biggest news. Sometimes they drop bombshell news in pop culture, but you know, a lot of stuff over the weekend. But with that, folks, let's get into our NFL Week 7 recap. We gotta do it. Looking at all the teams, their top fantasy performances, and where they stand in the rankings after week number 7. So kicking us off, we had a little Thursday night football action between the Broncos and the Saints. I thought the Saints were gonna win, honestly. Truly, I did. They were at home. I thought the Broncos were coming off a loss, but no. Broncos 33-10 absolutely destroyed the Saints. It was wow, just wow. Broncos are now 4-3, currently third in the AFC West. As for the Saints, yikes, they are now third in the NFC South with a 2-5 record on a 5-game losing streak. In that game, Broncos, Javonte Williams, 26.1 fantasy points. Broncos D, 21 fantasy points. And Will Lutz, the kicker, 18 fantasy points. Absolutely balling. Absolutely balling. The wide receiver, Cedric Wilson Jr., 17.7 points for the Saints. Tipton, 10.5. Kamara, 8.5. It was not good. Not a good day for the Saints. Only scored 10 points. They got a garbage time touchdown in the fourth and a field goal in the second. That was it. I will say one of the craziest moments wasn't there a defensive touchdown? I guess not. Will Lutz hit 3 field goals. Oh, yes. Cody Barton had a 52-yard fumble recovery. That was the big moment. Bo Nix, 164 yards on the day, 75 yards rushing, served his purpose. It was Javonte Williams, 14 rushes, 88 yards, 2 tutties. He did it all. Honestly, he did it all. And Cortland Sutton, not a single catch. Spencer Rattler came in for the Saints, 172 yards, but didn't do anything. They bench him. Hayner comes in, throws 4 passes, throws a touchdown. Alvin Kamara, 7 rushes, 10 yards, was held in check. Cedric Wilson, the only good player, with a touchdown. 6 catches, 57 yards. Saints team, very hurt, very injured, and I guess Alvin Kamara can't carry the workload. Pretty embarrassing effort from the Saints. I don't expect much from them. NFC South is looking to be a battle between the Bucs and Falcons. Saints, you may have to start working on who you're going to draft next season. As for Broncos, very surprising team at 4-3. Actually, one of my buddies in my Wednesday class, he's a Broncos fan, funny enough. They have a plus 39 point differential, 3-1 on the road, coming off win. Good stuff from the Broncos. Can't complain. After that, we head to London for our final London game of the year, and lo and behold, they frickin' did it, and I love this team. The Jaguars beat the Patriots 32-16. I knew a Jaguars win was finally coming along. Jaguars 2-5 now on the year, and they finally get a win. It had been a long time. Jaguars, good stuff. As for the Pats, 1-6, 6-game losing streak. rough times to be a Patriots fan. For the Patriots, Drake May, 20.84 fantasy points. Hunter Henry, 17.2. Jay Hasty, the wide receiver, 15.7. As for my Jacksonville Jaguars, not really my Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't know why I say that, but Tank Bigsby, 23.8 fantasy points. Brian Thomas Jr., 22.1. I love both of those guys. And Trevor Lawrence had 15.02. I mean, it was just domination. Domination. The game started out 10-0. 10-0 for the Patriots, and then Brian Thomas Jr. touchdown. Tank Bigsby touchdown. Parker Washington, 96-yard punt return. Then a Cam Little field goal, and everything was unanswered. The Patriots almost answered late. They cut down the lead. It was 16 to, I believe it was 25. I think it was 16-25. And then Tank Bigsby scored his second touchdown of the day to ice them. Good stuff for the Jaguars. Drake May, 276 yards, 2 touchdowns, rushed for 18 yards. He had the same number of rushing yards as Ramondre Stevenson with 18. Ridiculous. But Drake May, clearly as good as advertised, clearly the number 3 pick in the draft. I think the Patriots have an answer there. But, I mean, wide receiver-wise, Hunter Henry, 8 catches, 90 yards. He's not going to get it done. KJ Osborne caught a touchdown. Hasty's actually a running back. I didn't even know that. He caught one. Kendrick Bourne had a catch. Antonio Gibson didn't really do much. Patriots, abysmal team. Jaguars finally getting into it, though. Trevor Lawrence, 15 for 20, 193 yards, a touchdown, but it was Tank Bigsby, man. 26 rushes, 118 yards, 2 tutties. That dude is so good. And I knew he was going to be good. I thought he was going to overtake the job from ETN last year. He just had to wait for ETN to get injured. And my favorite wide receiver, my favorite rookie wide receiver in the league, Brian Thomas Jr., 5 catches, 89 yards, and a touchdown. I'm a big Brian Thomas Jr. guy. Have him in my 16-man fantasy league. Hopefully we win this week. I'm so average in all of my leagues. I'm either 2-4 or 3-3. I really got to lock in. I don't know what's going on this year. I joined too many leagues. This is my most leagues with 5. I think it may be too many. I can't lie. But yes, good win for the Jags. Patriots 1-6. 99 points for. That's right. One of the worst offenses in the league. Third worst in the AFC. Third worst in the AFC. Tied for third worst, actually. Overall. Wow. So yes, Patriots are not good. After that, we got into a matchup between the Bills and Titans at noon on Sunday. Bills start out the game down 10-rip until they decide to go, wait, we're at home. We're the Bills. The Titans suck. They score 34 unanswered. Titans fall to 1-5. Bills take control of the AFC East with a 5-2 record. Bills, 199 points for, 136 points against. That's right, a plus 63-point differential. Undefeated 3-0 at home. 2-game win streak now. Good stuff. Titans, 1-5. One of the worst teams in the league, 106 points for, 144 points against. They're 0-3 at home. 2-game losing streak now. Just not going to get it done. Mason Rudolph, the top fantasy scorer for their team, 9.9 points. Ew. Just ew. Josh Allen, 21.02. The debuting Amari Cooper, 16.6. And Keon Coleman, 16.5. Getting it done for the boys. And, James Cook scored in the second quarter. Amari Cooper caught a touchdown pass in the third. Ty Johnson scored a touchdown in the fourth. And so did Ray Davis. Mason Rudolph, 215 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Just couldn't really do much. Pollard, they were not giving him opportunities, to really get into good positions. 16 rushes, 61 yards, just some terrible play calling. And it was the tight end Okonkwo, 4 catches, 50 yards, who led the day. Calvin Ridley, 3 catches, 42 yards. DeAndre Hopkins, 1 catch, -2 yards. Hopkins needs to get out of Tennessee. Oh, yes, he needs to get out of Tennessee. As for the Bills, 323 yards, 2 touchdowns from Allen. I mean, as expected. James Cook rushed in a touchdown. Ray Davis rushed in a touchdown. Keon Coleman, 4 catches, 125 yards. Khalil Shakur, 7 catches, 65 yards. He did pretty good. And Amari Cooper, 4 catches, 66 yards. And a tutty. You can't ask for much more from this Bills team. They're good. They're good. And, despite losing Stephon Diggs, it didn't really impact them. Same with losing Gabe Davis. Didn't really impact them. They had all the tools everywhere else. 5-2. They are currently tied for the third best team. Time for the second best team in the AFC East. You got multiple teams that are 5-2. We'll talk about the team that's at the top in a second. After that, a game that was as good as advertised, Texans and the Packers, but son of a gun, the Packers pulled it out. I can't believe it. Texans fall to 5-2. Packers move to 5-2. No, so one team falls to 5-2, one team moves to 5-2. And the Packers 3-game winning streak now. My goodness. Joe Mixon 26.4 fantasy points, Kai Fairbairn 12, Houston defense 11. It was the Joe Mixon. So by the way, CJ Stroud only 5 fantasy points. Not going to get it done. As for the Packers, Josh Jacobs 20 fantasy points, Romeo Doubs 17, Jordan Love 16.8. The Packers had it going. Tucker Kraft got a tutty. Dontavian Wicks got a touchdown. Josh Jacobs scored. Joe Mixon punched in 2 touchdowns. Can't ask for much more. Joe Mixon 115 yards, 25 rushes. CJ Stroud 10 for 21, 86 yards. I don't know what happened. He got locked down by this Packers defense. Stephon Diggs 5 catches, 23 yards. Other than that, Dalton Schultz caught a pass. Joe Mixon caught a pass. It was the Joe Mixon show. That's all it was. Green Bay, Jordan Love, 220 yards, 3 touchdowns. Did throw 2 picks, though. That'll hurt you. Josh Jacobs, 76 yards, caught a pass, caught 5 passes, one of them a touchdown. Romeo Doubs, 8 catches, 94 yards. Dontavian Wicks, 3 catches, 48. Tucker Kraft, 3 catches, 33. Both of those had touchdowns. Good stuff from the Packers, my divisional rival. Can't really hate. They beat a tough Texans team. This Packers team is clearly game. Packers team is clearly game. After that, an awkward start to the Eagles and Giants game. This game started out very slow, and I was almost going, are you kidding me? The Giants are going to beat the Eagles. But no, Eagles, after, starting out with no scoring in the first quarter, went on a 14-3 run into halftime and then scored 2 more in the second half. Win 28-3, no answer from the Giants. Saquon, 26.7 fantasy points. Jalen Hurts, 22.76. A.J. Brown, 19.9. The triumphant trio dominating. Wendell Robinson, 8.3. Malik Neighbors, 8.1. It was rough. It was rough going for the Giants. Jalen Hurts, 114 yards, threw for 1 touchdown. He did punch in 2 touchdowns, though, on the 1-yard line. Saquon, leader of the day, 176 yards, 1 touchdown. He was an animal. A.J. Brown, 5 catches, 89 yards for a touchdown. Devontae Smith, 1 catch, -2 yards. What happened there? What the frick happened there? I don't know what was going on. It was a running fest from the Eagles. They realized, hey, we can run all over the Giants, and they did. Daniel Jones goes 14 for 21 with 99 yards and is benched for Drew Lock in the 4th quarter. Tracy, the running back, 6 rushes, 223 yards. Singletary, 5 rushes, 18 yards. Vandell, 6 catches, 23. Malik Neighbors, 4 catches, 41. Giants are in a rough spot. That's all I have to say there. Giants are 2-5. Eagles are 4-2. Giants bottom of the AFC East. Eagles are second. 2-game win streak for the Eagles. 2-game losing streak for the Giants. Giants are 0-4 at home. Yikes, rough time to be a Giants fan. After that, the best game of the week. It should have been America's Game of the Week. Should have been Sunday Night Football. The Lions and Vikings. It did not disappoint. It delivered, but sadly, my Vikings did not win. It was very sad. It was very sad. It made me, oh man, it's actually depressing me right now as I talk about it. We were undefeated. And of course, we lose to the Lions. Jahmyr Gibbs, 32 fantasy points, the best fantasy performer of the week. He went off. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 25.2. Jared Goff, 18.8. Lions are a tough team. Justin Jefferson, 21.4. Aaron Jones, 20.6. Sam Darnold, 16.26. What more can you ask for? We start out the game 10-0. We then give up 3 touchdowns in the second quarter. Kick off the third quarter scoring. Okay, we then give up a lousy touchdown to Khalif Raymond in the third. After that, we answer with 2 field goals and a fumble recovery before giving up a game-winning field goal with 15 seconds left. And we just had nothing to do with those 15 seconds. Man, what a close game. Emotional roller coaster as always. Vikings fall to 5-1. Lions move to 5-1. And they overtake us now with a tiebreaker. 4-game win streak for the Lions. Vikings drop their first loss of the season. Dang it. Jared Goff, 280 yards, 2 touchdowns, goes 22 for 25. That's just so impressive. Jahmyr Gibbs, 15 rushes, 116 yards, 2 tutties. Oh my goodness. Amon-Ra, 8 catches, 112 yards and a touchdown. He cooked us. Jahmyr actually also had 4 catches for 44 yards. Khalif Raymond caught a touchdown. We held Laporte in check. We held Tim Patrick in check, but we just kept giving up third downs. That's the big thing we kept doing. Sam Darnold, 22 for 27, 259 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Did rush for 39 yards, which I have to say, with his build, very tough. Aaron Jones, 14 rushes, 93 yards, and a touchdown. JJ, 7 catches, 81 yards and a tutty. Naylor, 4 catches, 76 yards. Addison, 3 catches, 66 yards. I can't even be mad with our effort. Our defense did so good. They gave up some big plays. Man, we'll be back. I'm telling you, the Vikings are going to be back. Mark my words. Mark my words. Vikings will be back. I mean, look at our schedule. We got the Rams coming up. Actually, we have the Rams coming up this week. We play the Rams on Thursday Night Football. We then have the Colts on Sunday Night Football. Jaguars in Jacksonville. Then we go to Tennessee to play Titans. Then finally, Thanksgiving, pre-Thanksgiving week, we play the Bears. Then we play the Cardinals December 1st, Falcons December 8th, Bears again, Seahawks in Seattle pre-Christmas. Post-Christmas, we host the Packers, and we end the season in Detroit. We got this. All right, Vikings have got this. This is our year. We're going to the Super Bowl, damn it. I can't believe the Lions got the better of us. After that, Seahawks beating the Falcons in Atlanta. I don't know what to make of this team. Okay, I don't know what to make of this Falcons team. 1 week they're balling, next week they're putting up only 2 touchdowns. Good performance from the Seahawks. They won the Battle of the Birds. I thought the Falcons would get it done, but I guess not. Kenneth Walker, 23.3. He had a massive day. DK Metcalf, 19.9. And Geno Smith, one of the most consistent QBs out there, 17.78. Bijan, 23.3. Good game. Jake London, 18.3. And Kyle Pitts, 13.5. Nothing really to complain about there. You know, they did what they needed to, but they scored in the third. They scored in the second. That was that. Gave up 10 points. Actually gave up 17 unanswered points to end the game. That'll hurt you. Seahawks moved to 4-3. Now they're atop the NFC West. Good stuff from them. As for the Falcons, they moved to second in the NFC South with a -6 point differential. They are 2-0 on the road, though. That's impressive. Geno Smith, 207 yards, 2 touchdowns. Does what he need to. Kenneth Walker, 14 rushes, 69 yards, and a touchdown. And he caught 2 passes, one of which was a touchdown. Top wide receiver, DK, 4 catches, 99 yards, and a tutty. Jackson Smith and Jigba, only 3 catches for 9 yards. Did throw a 35-yard pass, which was super random. We need more. We need more, JSN. We need more. We need more. Atlanta, Kirk Cousins, 232 yards, a touchdown, 2 picks. I will say they brought Penix in then the game. 14-yard pass. Good stuff. Bijan, 21 rushes, 103 yards, a touchdown. Not surprised. Drake London, 6 catches, 63 yards, a tutty. Mooney was catching passes. Pitts was catching passes. Falcons team is good. Seahawks team, just another random team that just randomly they'll lose, randomly they'll win. They're hard to predict. They're a hard team to predict. You never know what you're going to get with this damn team. We'll have to see how the rest of the season unfolds for them. Then Bengals and Browns, I believe. Was that our first? No, that was still a noon game. Bengals win 21-14. I will say this Bengals team, it's just their offense is good, but is it their defense? I don't know what it is, but this Bengals team just plays teams close for some reason. Bengals 3-4 on 2-game win streak. They beat the Browns, who are 1-6 on a 5-game win streak. Browns are 0-3 at home. T. Higgins 18.2 fantasy points. Jamar Chase 17.6. Sid CD 15. As for Browns, Njoku 23.6. You know, Njoku always has his breakout game. Tillman, 18.1, and Chubb in his return game. Nick Chubb, 10 points. 10 points from Nick Chubb. Punched in a touchdown, which was feel good, but Jamar T, both scoring the third, did what they needed to. And then, you know, Jameis Winston actually came to the game. We'll mention that in 1 second. But, I mean, Browns just couldn't stop the Bengals offense to end the game. Joe Shiesty, 181 yards, 2 touchdowns, adequate. Chase Brown, 15 rushes, 44 yards. Kind of mid. T. Higgins, 4 catches, 82 yards, tutty. Jamar Chase, 5 catches, 55 yards, 1 tutty. I mean, it's what you expect. It's run of the mill for them. I mean, you had Watson coming in, 128 yards, season-ending ACL injury. Dorian Thompson, Robinson, whatever, comes in, 2 picks, all right? They bring in Jameis Winston, who for some reason was QB3, 5 for 11, 67 yards, throws a touchdown. Jameis Winston, got to be the starting QB. We know he's game from his FSU days. We know what he can do with the Saints. We know what he can do with the Bucs. Put Jameis in. Nick Chubb, 11 rushes, 22 yards and a tutty. Okay. Njoku, 10 catches, 76 yards, intercept, or touchdown. Stat sheet monster on the day. Good stuff from Njoku. This Browns team, yet again, as always, the Browns, bottom of the league. Embarrassing. And then I thought this was a 3:30 game, but no, it was our final noon game as the Colts took on the Dolphins. This Dolphins team, they are in full panic mode. They're done for. Losing Tua has completely derailed their season. I don't even know what to make of this. As for the Colts, back in the win column, 4-3, 2-game win streak. What do you know? This Colts team pretty nasty. Dolphins, worst 2-4. They're still second at the AFC West. The AFC West sucks so hard. Worst offense, 70 points on the year, 129 points given up. Yikes. Jonnu Smith, 22.6 fantasy points for the Dolphins. Devin Achane, 10.5. Matt Gay for the Colts, 12 fantasy points. Trey Goodson, the running back, 11.1. Look, you were able to see a Jonnu Smith touchdown in the first quarter, then a Jason Sanders field goal. After that, nothing. Matt Gay had a second quarter field goal as time expired to send it 10-3 into the half, and then 13 unanswered points from the Colts. And that was that. Trey Boyle, whatever Boyle's name is for the Dolphins. He went 8 for 13, 74 yards. Tyven Huntley, whatever his name is, 7 for 13, 87 yards at a tutty, average. Achane, 15, 77 in terms of rushing yards. Raheem Mostert, 11 rushes, 50 yards. He was getting touches. Jonnu Smith, 7 catches, 96 yards, 1 tutty, led the day. Waddle, 1 catch. Tyreek Hill, 1 catch. Insane. Dolphins, I don't even know what to do. You're in a hole, 2-4. I mean, we still don't really know who the wild card teams are going to be. I mean, you can kind of see that the Chiefs are probably going to run away with the AFC West again. Looks like it's going to be a battle between the Broncos and the Chargers. Bills are definitely going to run away with the AFC East. Jets and Dolphins battle for... Actually, I'm not even going to say Jets and Dolphins battle for a second. I mean, Patriots only 1 game behind them. And then as you look at the AFC South, I mean, Texans obviously have the lead, but Colts are right behind them. I think Titans and Jaguars are probably going to fade back. AFC is an interesting place. But one last moment. Actually, no, we have 3 more games to cover, but a 3:30 matchup. Actually, we have 4. We have 4 more games left to talk about. But Panthers, Commanders, not much to talk about here. Commanders win 40-7, one of the biggest blowouts of the season so far. Commanders offense, they are the best offense in the NFL. I want you to ask me how many teams are over 200 points on the year. There's only one, 218 points for. 3-0 at home, only 152 points given up, the 5-2 Commanders. One of the best turnarounds from a team from last year this year. It's insane. Marcus Mariota, 19.6 fantasy points. That's right. Jane Daniels went out with an injury. Washington D, way better than last year, 18 fantasy points. And the kicker, Austin Siebert, 17 fantasy points. He's an absolute dime. Jay Sanders for the Panthers, 12.1. Chuba Hubbard, 11.2. Next closest, Miles Sanders at 3.8. Abysmal. I mean, where to begin? It started out 10-0, then it went to 17-0, 20-0, 27-0. They scored a touchdown with 10 seconds left in the first half. I mean, they didn't score until it was 37-0. Wow, insane. Andy Dalton, 93 yards, 2 picks. He gets benched. Bryce Young comes in 2 for 2, negative 40 yards. I mean, Chuba Hubbard, 17 rushes, 52 yards, a touchdown. The only bright spot, I don't even know. This Panthers team is so bad. Panthers are absolutely abysmal. 1-6, they are the worst team. Well, there's just so many bad teams this year. You're either good or you're bad. All right, really. Panthers 4-game losing streak. Don't know where you turn from here. But Commanders, Jane Daniels, 2 for 2, 6 yards, rushed 3 times for 50 yards, then got hurt. Mariota came in 18 for 23, 205 yards, 2 touchdowns, kept his composure. Guys, he was the number 1 pick. We kind of forget about that. Right? Did he go over Jameis? Or he was the number 2 to the Titans, wasn't he? From Oregon. Can't really remember. But he was either the number 1 or number 2 picks. Brian Robinson Jr., 71 yards and a touchdown. Scary Terry, 6 catches, 98 yards. Zach Ertz got a tutty. The rookie tight end, Senat, first NFL catch was a touchdown. Good for him. I will give him that. Commanders, you are looking good. You are looking feisty. As I look at the NFC East, Cowboys, Giants, looking like they're going down. Your main competition is the Eagles. I think you guys can handle them. Second to last, 3:30 game as the Rams beat the Raiders 20-15. Finally, the Rams win, 2-4 now, still bottom of the NFC West, but they got to win. All right, you got to win. And if the Cardinals lose tonight, the Rams will actually move to 3rd. So there you go, Rams. As for the Raiders, 2-5, 3-game losing streak. Raiders season is tanking fast. They are already 2 games behind the Broncos, who are in 3rd. For the Raiders, Brock Bowers, 19.3. He's the best tight end in the league. I don't care what anyone says. I'm sorry, George Kittle. I'm sorry, Travis Kelce. Brock Bowers is him. Daniel Carlson, the kicker, 16. The running back, Madison, 15.3. Kyron Williams puts the Rams on his back, 19.6 fantasy points. Rams D, 17, and Tutu Atwell, 11.1. Pretty competitive game, but I mean, it was rough for the longest amount of time. I mean, Daniel Carlson, the only one to score. Daniel Carlson hit all 15 points. He hit 5 field goals. And Kyron Williams scored both touchdowns, and then we also had a fumble recovery from Cameron Curl for the defense. Gardner Minshew goes 154 yards and 3 picks for his bench for Aiden O'Connell, but there is rumors that apparently Desmond Ridder was traded to the Raiders. He may be starting. Madison, 92 yards on the ground, had 31 yards through the air. Best player pretty much besides Brock Bowers, who went 10 catches, 93 yards. Jay just couldn't get a touchdown in, but Brock Bowers is a just monster. Monster. Of the 15 completions from Gardner Minshew and the 6 from Aiden O'Connell, that is 21. Half went to Brock Bowers. Crazy. As for the Rams, Matthew Stafford, 154 yards and an interception. Looked old. They still don't have Puka, though. They still don't have Cooper Kupp. We'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Kyron Williams, 21 rushes on the ground, 76 yards, 2 touchdowns. Did what he needed to. Good win from the Rams. Beating a Raiders team that is just failing. I mean, Raiders are almost at minus 60. They're in a minus 59-point differential. Ugh, just gross. Rams, do what you need to. The NFC West is more winnable than you think. Finally, oh man, we get into our final 3:30 game. I honestly thought it should have been Sunday Night Football, but I don't really care. I hate to see his team in prime time. As the Chiefs took on the 49ers, and the 49ers they lost everyone. Debo got hurt. Ayuk got hurt. Ayuk's season's over. Ayuk tore something. I think he tore his Achilles. His entire season is over. Oh my gosh. Kittle was left to fend for himself. Even Jordan Mason couldn't handle the Chiefs defensive line as the Chiefs win 28-18. And the 49ers 3-4. Yeah, coming off a loss now. They're now second in the NFC West. And the best team in the league, undefeated 6-0. They haven't even lost this year. Oh my gosh, their defense has only given up 103 points. The Chiefs, oh my gosh, just gross. Kareem Hunt, 22.3 fantasy points, looking like the rookie that was on the Chiefs years ago. Cole Hardman, 12.5, and Patrick Mahomes, 12.06. He isn't even a stud this year. Still just dicing up everyone. Brock Purdy, 17.18. George Kittle, 15.2. And Jordan Mason, 8.9, held in check. I mean, there's not much to ask here. I mean, 14-6 heading into halftime. It was close, and then we went into third quarter and we get kicked off. Brock Purdy touchdown. That's 14-12, and Anders Carlson misses the extra point. The dude sucks. So hard. After that, Mahomes scored. McCole Hardman scored. Purdy scored with a minute left, but you're down 10. There's just nothing left to do. Mahomes, 154 yards, 2 touchdowns. No, 2 picks. I read that wrong. Wow, Mahomes, yikes, 2 picks. Did run in a touchdown, though, on 39 yards rushing. Kareem Hunt, 22 rushes, 78 yards, and 2 touchdowns, carrying them. Noah Gray, 4 catches, 66 yards, was the top wide receiver. Juju Smith-Schuster gets hurt. Xavier Worthy, 3 catches, 19 yards. Kelsey, 4 catches, 17 yards. Damn, Chiefs defense improved a lot. Offense, not so much. Oh, man, Brock Purdy for the 49ers, 212 yards, 3 picks. Yikes. Jordan Mason, 14 rushes, 58 yards. Purdy rushed in the only touchdowns they scored. Good for him. George Kittle, 6 catches, 92 yards. Ricky Purcell, 3 catches, 21 yards. Man. Ayuk's out. Debo's out. McCaffrey's out. Man, it is just Kittle and Purdy and Jordan Mason. Try to do something with this team. Unreal. I did predict the Chiefs to win. I'll continue to pick the Chiefs, but it's not out of happiness. It's out of, I don't think anyone's going to beat this damn team. With that, we got into our final game of week number 7 as for NFL Sunday. That is, as we still have 2 games going on right as we speak. And it was the Steelers taking on the Jets, and talk about a tale of 2 halves. Talk about a tale of 2 halves, guys, as going into halftime, 15-13, the Jets are winning. Going into halftime, 15-13, the Jets are winning. Final score for the game, 37-15. Tomlin's boys cook. Jets are in complete failure mode. Breece Hall, 26.1 fantasy points. He had 20 in the first half, held to 6 in the second. Garrett Wilson, 13.1. Aaron Rodgers, 13.04. As for the Steelers, Russell Wilson starting this game. People are wondering. I was critiquing. I'm like, why are you benching Justin Fields? Why would you do that? Russell Wilson return game, 24.86 fantasy points. One of the best quarterbacks in week number 7. It was ridiculous. George Pickens, 22.1, actually looking like a wide receiver 1 out there. Najee Harris, 16.2. What a dime. What a beauty. Breece Hall scored a touchdown in the first quarter, 7-3, heading into the second quarter. Boswell hits another one, then Conklin scores, then George Pickens scores. Like I said, 15-13, heading into halftime. Then Boswell field goal. Then Russell Wilson runs in a touchdown. Then Ben Jefferson catches a touchdown. Then Najee Harris runs a touchdown, and the Steelers dominate 37-15. Seth, I gotta give it to you. Your team is kind of fun to watch too. 5-2. 2-game winning streak, plus 60-point differential. Steelers are dangerous. Top of the AFC North, look out. As for the Jets, 2-5, 4-game losing streak. They are just not good. On offense has only put up 128 points. One of the best defenses. Like I said, the Jets have such an amazing defense. Your defense is only as good as long as they're kept off the field. And this Jets offense, just the defense is on the field the whole game. They're going to give up points eventually. Aaron Rodgers, 276 yards, a touchdown, 2 more picks. This dude's always throwing picks. Breece Hall, 38 yards, caught a touchdown. Also had 6 catches for 103 yards. Garrett Wilson, 5 catches, 61 yards. And Devontae Adams, return game with Aaron Rodgers, 3 catches, 30 yards, and he actually dropped the ball. Insane. As for Pittsburgh, Wilson, 264 yards, 2 touchdowns, rushed 3 times for one of them a touchdown. Najee, 102 yards and a touchdown. George Pickens, 5 catches, 111 yards and a touchdown. Freiermuth, 2 catches, 51 yards. I mean, holy bananas. Steelers went off. I honestly wish Sunday Night Football was the way you capped off Week 7, because that is such a way to cap it off. Steelers dominate the Jets. Nothing much more to ask for. Good work to the Steelers. We'll have to see what the Jets do from here. I mean, they take on the Patriots. That's a winnable game. Texans, not a winnable game. Cardinals, we'll have to see what state the Cardinals are in by November 10th. You know, midway through November, taking on the Colts, I'd say that is somewhat winnable. Jets to kick off December, I don't really see that. Dolphins, they can definitely win. Jags, they can definitely win. Rams, maybe. Bills, no. Dolphins, maybe. I don't know what you're going to do with this team, but, I mean, Jets. Aaron Rodgers, lock in. Get your boys going. Okay, get your boys going. They are failing. But Week 7, honestly, was pretty good. Pretty good. There's been some NFL Sundays where I've just been slumped. I can barely keep my eyes open. This, I don't think, was one of them. I do not think this was one of them. I was actually engaged. I was actually entertained. Good job, NFL. Now we get to talk about UFC Vegas 77. What am I in 2022, Zach? No, UFC Vegas 99. UFC Vegas 99 went down this past weekend. The main event, Michelle Pereira taking on Anthony Hernandez. And I am going to go grab some water, and I'm going to take a quick break to collect my thoughts so I just don't go on a complete rant right now on how utterly boring this card is, but I will give you viewers a quick second to just, pause and just consider, if you did watch this, how bad it was. All right, I have returned, and, I realize I shouldn't be as mean as I was going to be. Okay, I understand that these are professional athletes. These are UFC fighters. They put their bodies on the line every single Saturday. But I'll be honest, UFC Vegas 99 was so boring. So boring. We had, I think one fight was canceled. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We had 12 fights. I go 6-6 on picks. There are only 2 fights that ended in a finish. One was a round 3 submission with 20 seconds left. The other was a round 5 TKO, which was literally just stopped because it was going nowhere. But let's go through all the fights, talk about what happened, and there's no point in even bringing up finishes. I mean, this is just nothing freaking happened. I mean, we kick off the night, and Robelis Despande, the round 1 KO was right there, and besides a quick flurry right off the bat, just nothing. Just nothing. Austin Lane does exactly what happened to Robelis' last fight. Out-grappled him. 3 straight rounds. 1 takedown every round. Couldn't get back up. 9 minutes of control time. That was it. Significant strikes-wise, Robelis actually had 8 more. 31-23. Just abysmal. Austin Lane couldn't do anything with it. I don't see a future in the UFC for either of these guys. Austin Lane improves to 13-5. He is now 1-2 with 1 no contest in the UFC. Wow, this is the first fight in his career he's gone the distance. Robelis Despande falls to 1-2 in the UFC, 5-2 professionally. And yeah, over his last 2 fights, He's been taken down 6 times across 6 rounds and has been held down for close to 20 minutes combined. By the way, 30 minutes of total fight time in his last 2 fights, and he's been controlled for almost the entirety of it. It's ridiculous. Austin Lane, Robellis, boring way to start the card. I was so sad because I thought this was going to be an absolute heater, and no one got a knockout. After that, this was a toss-up for me. It goes to the favorite, Melissa Martinez, as she beats Elise Ardeline by unanimous decision. 30-27 across the board. And I don't really know what happened in this fight. I didn't really watch it just because it was such a doozy. But totals from the fight, 92 significant strikes for Alice, 72 for Melissa, 103 for Alice, 78 for Melissa. No takedowns landed each. Alice outstruck her in rounds 1 and 2, but damage must have went to Melissa. Round 3, Melissa had 5 more. I honestly don't know what to tell you. I honestly don't really know what to tell you. I didn't really watch it because it was just boring. I have it on my phone. I'm just like, nothing's going on in this. Alice falls to 0-2 in the UFC, 9-7 professionally. I doubt they keep her around with that type of record. Melissa, 1-1 now in the UFC, 8-1 professionally. Sure, we'll keep you around in the women's strawweight division. No action, no excitement, boring. After that, Elise Reed beats Jessica Penne, and I finally predicted a fight correctly. I was so happy. I predicted this one. I knew Elise was going to win. She was the favorite, minus 155, be it all the experts. They're picking Jessica Penne. No, Elise Reed gets this one done. 117 significant strikes to 54, 229 total strikes to 98. She defends 12 of 13 takedowns. That's right, Jessica landed her first one. After that, 12 were stopped. Good job to Elise Reed. And I mean, she got better with every round. Got taken down, held down for 2 minutes, 49 seconds, round 1. After that, 44 significant strikes to 18 in round 2, 67 significant strikes to 17 in round 3. Elise Reed wins the final 2 rounds after dropping the first. Good win for her. Was the favorite, got it done, 8-4 record now, and she's gone win-loss since joining the UFC. A perfect 4-4. I say we give her one more shot to see if she belongs. How about a perfect opponent for you right here? How about Melissa Martinez? Same division, same kind of fight, very boring. As for Jessica Penne, 14-9 record now, 3-fight losing streak, hasn't won since 2021. She is 41 years old, turns 42 in January. It's time to call it a career. Time to call it a career, Penne. Been with the UFC since 2012. You had a title shot back in 2015. Time to call it a career. Nothing really happened. Then we got to our first of 2 finishes on the night, and Jocelyn Edwards getting it done. I picked her to get done. She was the favorite. She gets her 4th career submission. Good job to La Pantera, submitting Tamires Vidal. Jocelyn Edwards, one of the, she's not very exciting, not to be mean, Jocelyn, but she's an okay UFC fighter. 81 significant strikes to 34, 151 total strikes to 53, 4-7 on takedowns, attempted 2 submissions. Second one ended up being the one that got locked in. I mean, nothing much to really go over here. Jocelyn Edwards dominated her every round, landed some takedowns, dominated in the striking, did what she had to get back in the win column because it was much needed for Jocelyn Edwards. 29 years old. I honestly thought she was older, but 2-fight losing streak turns into a win streak now, gets her first UFC finish. Good win for Jocelyn Edwards. As for her opponent, Tamires Vidal, yikes. That's all I'm going to say to the 26-year-old. Of her 4 losses now, she's been finished in 3 of them. Not too good. 0-3 since 2022. 1-3 in the UFC. I mean, been finished in round 3 her last 2 fights. Both those in 2024. Yeah, we're cutting Tamires Vidal. The women's bantamweight division will keep you around, Jocelyn. And honestly, I will, I don't think they're going to give her a ranked opponent. But her versus Chelsea Chandler, I feel, could be of somewhat interest. So if you need to make a fight, there's one for you. With that, second to last prelim of the evening, Gene Matsumoto beats Brad Katona, and all is right in the world when Brad Katona doesn't win. Gene getting it done. This kid, 16-0 now. Are you kidding me? Bantamweights. We love undefeated bantamweights. Such a good win. 29-28 across the board. Gene Matsumoto getting it done. And man, similar fight. 89 significant strikes for both these gentlemen. Brad landed 8 more total strikes. 3 of 8 on takedowns for Brad. 1 of 7 for Gene Matsumoto. But it was close. It was a close battle. Came down to the wire, and Gene just edged him out. Brad took round 1. I'll give it to him. Defended 4 takedowns. Outstruck him by 10. But round 2. Gets outstruck 45-37. Okay, round 3 comes around, gets outstruck by 2, taken down once. I mean, close fight. Judges saw it go to Gene Matsumoto. I was biased, so of course I was rooting for Gene. Gets it done. Nothing much really to say here. Happy for him. 25 years old. He almost has more wins than his age. 16 to 25. I mean, he might get there too. 2-0 now in the UFC. 2-0 in 2024. So pretty good start to his UFC run. Getting it done. He'll stick around. There's a lot of unranked bantamweights out there. I mean, I don't really have a name off the top of my head. There's just so many. I don't really want to throw them to the rankings. But, there's always the loser of Miles Johns and Cody Garbrandt, just to throw out a really random one for you. I don't know. You got Garrett Armfield in the mix. He has a fight coming up. Loser of that. It's tough to say with him. Brad, I mean, since his return to the UFC, he's gone 1-2 this year. Actually, 2-2. 1-2 so far in 2024. 16-4. All his fights have gone the distance. Brings no excitement. They aren't going to cut him, but I have no interest in watching him fight anymore. Gene Matsumoto, happy you won. With that, we got to our final prelim of the evening, and Asu Almabayev is here, dominates Matthias Nikalu. The number 14th ranked Asu Almabayev beats the number 7th ranked Matthias Nikalu by unanimous decision, and he'll move into the number 7 spot in the flyweight rankings. I think they dropped Nikalu down to 9, maybe down to 10. I don't know how they're gonna do it. Maybe just bump him down to 8. But Asu Almabayev, welcome to the top 10. Great win here. Dominated Matthias Nikalu. And what sucks is this was a decision. I feel like Asu really could have poured it on at times. I mean, the stats are really low in this one. I don't like to say they don't do the fight justice, but I mean, round 1, 9-5 significant strike-wise, a feeling out round, a huge feeling out round. They might have even given that one to Nikalu. Round 2, Almabayev was like, okay, I'll start going for some takedowns. 1 of 6. I mean, Nikalu could have taken that one. Round 3, Almabayev comes out, drops him, kind of just gets on top of him and holds him there. 4 minutes, 9 seconds. Good win. Does what he needed to. It just wasn't exciting. Asu Almabayev, 17-fight win streak now is just, it's insane. 17-fight win streak now, 21-2. He's 4-0 in the UFC, 3-0 in 2024. You can't ask for a much better 2024. Going from unranked, and now he's freaking in the top 7, top 10. I don't even know where he's going to be ranked, but number 7 spot is where I'm going to put him. Almabayev, lots of options for you. Lots of options. You got Alex Perez right there. You got Tatsuo Taira coming off a loss, loser of Moreno and Albazi. You even have him fight Manel Cape, Steve Erceg. There's quite possibly unlimited options there. As for his opponent, Matthias Nikalu, look, it's been rough. At one point, 4-fight win streak. At one point, this guy was 7-1 in the UFC. Now he's on a 3-fight losing streak. Been brutally beaten in all of them. Just hasn't really offered much. He's been dropped in every single fight, by the way. Hasn't won since December 2022. He's definitely out of the top 10. I think Tigiril and Bekov could be an option. I think Bruno Silva's taking on some guy at UFC 308 this weekend. That could be an option. There's a plethora of unranked flyweights out there that are hungry for an opportunity. Nikalu is officially gatekeeper. He's such a gatekeeper right now. It's so hard. But yeah, we predicted this one correctly. Then after that, we got into our main card, and Darren Elkins still getting it done. Fight of the night against Daniel Pineda. It was bloody. It was brutal. I missed it. Of all the fights I freaking miss, I missed the fight of the night. I always hate that. But Darren Elkins, I honestly thought Pineda had this one. Elkins just didn't look too hot in his last fight, but he does it. 39 significant strikes to 31, 102 total strikes to 61. Elkins 3 of 12 on takedowns, 6.5 minutes of control time. Did what he needed to. And by the way, he dropped round 1 to Daniel Pineda. Daniel Pineda outstruck him. Did what he had to. Attempted 2 submissions. Almost got him too. But then Elkins locked in, leaned on the grappling, got it done, and dominated him in rounds 2 and 3. Good win for the damage. Darren Elkins, 40 years old, getting it done. And then sadly, man, oh man, in his final fight, Daniel Pineda calls it a career. Retires from MMA. Ends on a 3-fight losing streak, sadly. But of those 3 fights, 2 were fight of the nights. And even his fight against Nathaniel Wood this past summer, not too bad. Pineda, 28 professional wins, all by finish. legend of the game. Not going to go to the Hall of Fame, not going to be talked about by casuals, but we acknowledge you. As for Darren Elkins, 2-fight winning streak, 3-1 in his last 4. Not too bad for the damage. He'll stick around. There's featherweights out there for him to fight. I think maybe someone along the lines of, oh gosh, who's a featherweight out there? Cub Swanson could be a fun fight. I don't really know. There's lots of unranked featherweights out there that Darren Elkins can fight. Plus 105 underdog, though. He cashed. Good stuff from Darren Elkins. And then, oh my goodness, we talked about it. We rooted for it. I should have picked it. There was no reason for me not to make this prediction, but Cameron Smotherman dominates Jake Hadley at bantamweight, winning by unanimous decision. Short notice, getting it done. I mean, Smotherman took this on like 5 days' notice. It was incredible, and he dominates him. 30-26, 29-27, 29-27. Cameron Smotherman just looked great. 96 and even strikes to 60. Defended 1 of 2 takedowns that were attempted on him. Outstruck him every round. Good win for Smotherman. Welcome to the UFC, kid. Welcome to the UFC. Bantamweight division, flyweight division, whatever division you want to fight in. Welcome. 12-4 record. Looked much better than his Contender Series fight a year ago. Good stuff. Good stuff. As for Jake Hadley, I say we cut this guy. I honestly say we cut this guy. He's just not UFC caliber. He's not. 1-3 in his last 4. Okay? Dude is just not it. He's not it. So Jake Hadley, bye-bye. Cameron Smotherman, welcome to the UFC. We'll take him. He's honestly younger, too, 27, compared to the 28-year-old of Jake Hadley. Man, I was rooting for him, and it was weird. I'm like, yeah, go Smotherman. I'm like, wait, I didn't pick you. Why didn't I pick you? I had no good reason, and it backfired. So, Cameron Smotherman, good win at bantamweight. He could always fight Brad Katona. How about that? Who knows? After that, flyweight division. I think we have a new ranked flyweight. And I actually think I have Matthias Nikalau's next opponent, and it's Charles Johnson, guys. Energy, Charles Johnson, who for some reason... Wait, why did I highlight Sumadarji? I highlighted Sumadarji for some reason. Whoops, that is not my prediction. Luckily, I have verdict to back that up. Honestly, when I write down stuff on my sheet and I'm talking and I'm writing stuff at the same time, you mess me up. Because I look at it, I'm like, why did I not have Charles Johnson highlighted? But, Charles Johnson, we correctly predicted him to win, and he looked great. Little trouble early. Sumadarji outstruck him 24-19, defended 2 of his takedowns. Then a Charles Johnson knockdown. Also landed a takedown. Round 2, looking good as well, landing a takedown, getting it done. Charles Johnson, 65 significant strikes to 75, 84 total strikes to 78, 2 of 6 on takedowns, doing what he had to. Charles Johnson, who at one point in 2023 went 1-3, 3-fight losing streak, was about to be cut. He was fed to the unranked, undefeated Azat Maksum. Fight of the night beat him. Then takes on Jake Hadley, who, by the way, wasn't as bad as he was at this fight night card. Beats him. Then knocks out Joshua Van. Now beats Sumadarji. 4-fight winning streak. 4-0 in 2024. Hey, if Alex Barrett doesn't exist, this might be my fighter of the year, all right? One of the few fighters to go 4-0. He might only be the only fighter to go 4-0, and he might try and sneak a fight in December. Charles Johnson, give him the number 15 spot in the ranking, and give him Matthias Nicolau. Wherever Matthias is ranked, give him that fight. He is so worthy of it. He's in his prime, 33 years old. He's never been finished in his career. All right? Incredible stuff from Charles Johnson. As for Sumadarji, I hate to say this, Suj. 0-3, hasn't won since 2021. Yeah, might be time to get cut. It sadly might be time for us to cut Sumadarji. He was a fun fighter, though. Unless Cameron Smotherman actually fights at flyweight, because I know Jake Hadley, I think, actually fights at flyweight. So you could do Cameron Smotherman versus Sumadarji. You can even do Jake Hadley versus Sumadarji. I don't know. But Charles Johnson got done. The only fight I correctly predicted on the main card, it was the Charles Johnson fight. So that kind of makes me happy. Good win for him. After that, co-main event, and this was such a frustrating fight to watch. Kyler Phillips, ranked number 12. Rob Font, ranked number 10. First off, let me just say, Rob Font, veteran. 37 years old, right? 37 years old, that's what I thought. Plus 215 underdog. Rob Font coming into this one, 2-fight losing streak. He hadn't won since 2023. He had been 1-4 in his last 5. And this was not an easy fight. He's taking on Kyler Phillips, who's game. He's coming in. And round 1, Kyler Phillips looks amazing. Lands a takedown, controls over half the round, outstrikes him 10-7 significantly. Looked great. And then Rob Font was like, wait a second. Remember who you were. you almost got a title shot. You were winning main events. You were fighting Jose Aldo, fighting Marlon Vera, outstrikes him 31-14. Did get taken on twice, but got up right away. 1-1 heading into round number 3. And Kyler Phillips just lost all his mojo. There wasn't even the cardio. It was like he's shooting for a takedown when he shouldn't be. When he hit Rob Font with something, he'd back up. He'd just be getting clipped. Got outstruck 23-14. Not a lot of damage taken. Rob Font just beat him. Okay, 61 significant strikes to 38. 65 total strikes to 50. 4 or 5 takedowns for Kyler Phillips. 4 minutes, 42 seconds. Doesn't help. All those striking statistics in favor of Rob Font. Good win. Good win, Rob. That's all I'm going to say. I saw Calvin Cater there taking a picture with him. New England Cartel representing. 21-8 record. Good win. As for Kyler, suffering his 3rd professional defeat, snapping his 3-fight losing streak. I don't know what to tell you. Just negative fight IQ. Negative fight IQ. He just looks like he forgot how to fight. He was fighting so dumb out there. Obviously, I'm not a real fighter. I don't actually fight. I don't know the techniques, but just from watching this the last 5 freaking years of my life, I know when someone is going for it and when someone's just kind of not going for it. And Kyler Phillips just didn't want it, and he's not going to get it. Rob Font, he will remain in the top 10 at number 10. I think him versus Mario Batista could be a good fight. I think that's something you could do. You could even do... I don't really know. I think the Mario Batista fight's right what you do with Rob Phillips. Or not Rob Phillips, Rob Font. Maybe Rob Font, Dominic Cruz could be a fun fight. Montel Jackson, Rob Font. He can only fight 1 or 2 spots above. Even Song Yadong feels like a stretch to me, but you could do that fight. We'll have to see. Kyler Phillips, he'll be fighting down on Montel Jackson, someone we just mentioned. You could do that fight. I think a Jonathan Martinez fight would be good. A lot of options for Kyler Phillips and for Rob Font. We'll see what the UFC goes with. But, not a fight of the night. Almost just like, what are you doing? And then we get to the main event. And I picked Michelle Pereira here. I picked Michelle Pereira, which made this fight so much more frustrating than it needed to be. As Anthony Hernandez just destroyed Michelle Pereira. I didn't even know what I was watching. I'm like, is this the Michelle Pereira who's on an 8-fight win streak? Is this the Michelle Pereira who's finished his last 3 guys in a minute each? What happened? We start off the fight. The first minute, Michelle Pereira almost finishes Anthony Hernandez. Hurts him to the body, is laying into him, is fighting on him, then just backs off, then actually gets taken down. He faced, by the way, Anthony Hernandez set in the middleweight takedown attempt record, 10 of 29, 15 minutes, 42 seconds of control time. Insane. 152 significant strikes to 24, 219 total strikes to 29. Just dominated Michelle Pereira. But, after that, just nothing. Round 2 comes out, gets taken down 2 of 6 times. Attempted only 2 strikes the whole fight. Round 3, only attempted 3 strikes the whole fight. Round 4, only attempted 3 strikes. Round 5, only attempted 1. He got taken down over and over and over again. It's like he forgot, what he was capable of. The decline here is absolutely crazy. He had more strikes in round 1 than he had in rounds 2 to 5 combined. All right, and Hernandez split him open with an elbow, and Hernandez was just casually hitting him, and Herb Dean was just like, this is going nowhere. Let's give Hernandez the finish. Anthony Hernandez getting it done. Round 5 TKO, gets performance bonus, the best finish on the card, and it came in round 5, and it was almost just abysmal. Michelle Pereira almost pulled off a guillotine, yet had negative fight IQ. Hernandez getting it done. 6-fight win streak. Gets his 3rd UFC TKO. Good stuff. As for Michelle Pereira, 3rd time in his career he's been finished. So, been a while. First loss since 2020 for Michelle Pereira. It's unfortunate, but warranted for that negative fight IQ. I don't even know what that was. But Anthony Hernandez, shout out. Shout out Anthony Hernandez, 2-0 in 2024. Had a bunch of canceled fights. Happy that he's able to get one booked. And hey, amazing run right now. Last 4 fights, all finishes on a 6-fight win streak. Only 1's gone the distance. No idea how he didn't finish Josh Remden that fight. This is a good win here. This is a good win here for him. He'll move up. He'll move up into the top 10. He's ranked 13th. I don't know if they're going to have him pass Hamzat since Hamzat fights this weekend, but the ultimate gatekeeper, Jack Hermansson's right there. I think Roman Dolidze is a great fight, too. You could even do Anthony Hernandez, Brendan Allen. A lot of options there. As for Michelle Pereira, it's looking like he'll fight unranked contenders. Truly, I don't even know. You actually have a fight with Gerald Mearshart and Rainer De Ritter coming up. I think that would be an amazing matchup, in my personal opinion. But yeah, kind of a boring card. I'm going to say it was a boring card One of the longest fight nights of all time. Total fight time in this card, let me do some math. That's 30 an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, 2.5. Gosh, you're approaching like 4 hours of fight time in the octagon. Just wasn't it. Just wasn't it. We had 2 knockdowns the entire night, 2 finishes. We'll leave UFC Vegas. It's honestly not the worst that I've seen, too. That's the thing. This is even the worst fight night I've seen. But it was almost like looking back, it was like just, we needed more excitement on this card. But we'll leave UFC Vegas 99 to the past. I mean, the only big takeaway is Hernandez, 6-fight win streak. I don't really know. Instead, we look forward to UFC 308 coming at you this upcoming Saturday. We will, of course, be dropping our huge prediction show coming at you later this week. Io Topira takes on Max Holloway to defend the featherweight crown. Also, number 1 contender fight for the middleweight championship as Robert Whittaker will take on Khamzat Chimaev in a 5-round co-main event. Leon Murphy takes on Dan E. Actually, no, that fight was canceled. Isn't Gene Silva stepping in to fight Dan Ige or someone? Is Dan Ige fighting someone? I don't really know what's going on there. Leon Murphy, Dan Ige. I don't know if that fight's still on. It's listed on the UFC website. Magomedov Ankalaev and Alexander Rakic fight at light heavyweight. Could be for the next title shot. Charles Magomedov is back in action. You got Jeff Neal, Rafael Dos Anjos on the prelims. Matus Rebek takes on the undefeated Mike Nabek Orobay. Sainer Magomedov back in action. Chris Barnett's back in action. Victor Hugo, Farid Basharat, Bruno Silva, Ishmael Nareev, Rinat Fakhretdinov, Carl Zia, like we mentioned, Ivo Asad, Rafael Sakara. You got a loaded card coming at you from Abu Dhabi. And, I mean, I'm just buzzing for it. I'm absolutely excited. Can't wait to drop my prediction show. It is going to be a phenomenal time. But, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for joining me on this ride. We talked about football. We talked about pop culture. We talked about UFC. We covered all the bases. My dream is to work for the UFC in any regard. Who knows? Maybe I'll make it to the top brass one day. We'll have to see. But as for now, I sign off. I wish you an amazing week. I hope you learned something today. Hope you heard something new. I hope you enjoy UFC. And as always, I'll catch you next time on the Surprise Jab Podcast.